Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing my second Sundance film of this year, and that is How It Ends, directed by Zoe Lister-Jones and David Wein, starring also Zoe Lister-Jones and Cailee Spaeny, which these two are amazing in this film, and it's a very fun film that I very much enjoyed. And if you guys don't know what this movie is about, which you definitely don't know what it's about, but if you saw it during Sundance, you know that it's basically the end of the world. A meteor is going to hit Earth and blow up the entire planet at 2 a.m., and so it's the last day on the planet. And so you get the main character, played by Zoe Lister-Jones, and her younger self going out throughout the night, saying goodbye or getting their reconciliation with a bunch of people on her list. And honestly, of all the movies that I saw in the festival that I was able to get tickets for, it was this and Censored that I was most excited about. Censored because I really had no idea what it was about, and it really intrigued me, and because I love horror. That was probably my number one most anticipated, and this one was my second because that premise sounds very entertaining. And what I didn't know about this movie, because when I watched it, it was very different than what I was expecting, was this was actually filmed and created during the pandemic, about, you know, being stuck at home and not being able to go out and reach to your loved ones when all these terrible things are happening around the world. And you know, life seems so fragile that any day things can just go wrong. And this film really is about reconciling your relationships with the people around you, but also reconciling your relationship with yourself, which is a very interesting concept and a very interesting story and character story in this film that I very much enjoyed. But because it was made during the pandemic, it's not like there's a bunch of people in this movie. This movie really is these two actresses walking down the streets of LA because their car was stolen, and they just meet a bunch of random people. And in that way, this film can be extremely repetitive because they're walking down the street, they have some great banter back and forth between each other, then they run into this celebrity cameo, these comedians that she meets along the way, and they have a conversation, they talk, and then they knock some things off of their checklist. But for the most part, it's just a bunch of walking, running into somebody, having some banter, walking again, running to somebody else, and having some banter throughout the entire film. And it could get so tiresome, and I've seen some, I guess, criticisms of this from a lot of the reviews for this film. And I would say in parts I do agree with this, because about halfway through the film is when I guess a little earlier, about a third of the way through the film is when I realized that this is going to be the entire film, and I was hoping for some sort of change of pace, some sort of differential, like, moments or segments in this film in terms of the structure, and I never got that. And I think that is my biggest flaw with this film, is the structure of it, because it is extremely repetitive. But the performances from these two lead actresses are just phenomenal. And the story of, you know, there's this weird idea of her talking to her younger self, and the younger selves are just kind of a thing in this world where you just interact with this, I guess, part of you that is somehow heightened, that you can have this power to talk to I don't know, it's a very odd concept. All you need to know is you have your younger self with you, and you can talk to them and interact with them, and to be able to do that, to convey what she is feeling on this last day on the planet, her regrets, all her decisions that she's made in the past, all these things that she may want to change or fix, and having the conversation with yourself about those things is a very interesting way to get across these points. And I think in that way this film really excels, because there's one conversation with those two at the end of the film, or towards the end of the film, that I thought was just a beautiful heartwarming moment. And the film really does lead into some heartwarming moments, even though it is the end of the world. This is the last day on the planet. These people are doomed, but there is a glimmer of hope in terms of these characters, because maybe, just maybe, they can have acceptance in themselves. And I think that is a very beautiful storyline to convey, especially in the world that we're living in now. In terms of the cameo appearances in this film, which I did very much enjoy a lot of them, I don't want to get into most of them because obviously, I guess technically spoilers, but one that is on the main cast list, which I thought she was actually in the film a lot more, was Olivia Wilde. And I've got to say that there are some very funny moments in this movie, but the conversation between Zoe Lister-Jones and Olivia Wilde is hysterical. And although several jokes actually just do not land whatsoever and are very unfunny, this movie, the humor in it, does very much work for me. And it's also extremely awkward, which is definitely the point of this film. It has a very awkward comedic tone to it, kind of like a I don't want to compare it to Superbad or Booksmart or anything like that, but in a small way, I guess it kind of has that tone to it. That type of humor, that kind of uplifting type of just hysterics. Like, if you were high watching this movie, you'd have a great time. You'd laugh at every single joke in this film. And I think overall it was just very heartwarming, very entertaining. And although it isn't my favorite thing that I've seen from this festival so far, because I have now seen 4 films, it was pretty dang good, and I would recommend it. Although it does very much feel homemade. It feels like they made this movie for $5. the camera quality and just the look of this film was not, what you'd expect when you I guess think of a movie that's possibly going to be bought by like a Netflix or a Hulu. It definitely feels very low budget and very low quality, but that's because they probably had two people behind the camera and two people in front of the camera, and that was pretty much it. So in terms of making this during the pandemic, very impressive, very great script, very great dialogue and screenplay by the writer and directors of this film, and great performances all around. And I'm curious to see what you guys also think of this movie, so definitely comment down below all of your thoughts on this film. So thanks everybody for watching my review for How It Ends. If you guys like this video and you want to subscribe to see more of my Sundance reviews, definitely do so. I have my review up for Censor, and I'll have reviews up for this wild movie called Strawberry Mansion and Knocking. Those are the two other films that I've seen so far, and I'll have 4 others later upcoming this week. I'll be pretty much uploading a video every single day. So thanks guys for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in my next one.